Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, July 23rd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Got a lot to discuss. Google has listed out why it ranks a specific search result snippet based on a lot of factors. I think up to nine different factors. We'll get into that soon. Google said that core updates can actually impact people also ask. Google said that if you have a redirect live for about a year or longer, it will forever pass those signals. I'll get into a little bit more on the nuances there. Google has removed the AMP logo from the search results and so much more, so stay tuned. And this video is not sponsored by anybody. If you want to sponsor a video, I think I have one video per week that could be sponsored. Definitely hit me up on wherever, rustybrick.com/Barry. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this show. And if you do, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, smash that bell, or do you smash the like button? I forgot which one it is. But anyway, do one of those or all of those, and I appreciate it. All right, first up, so Google yesterday announced, started actually rolling out the day before, but yesterday announced that when you go to the About This Result feature, and I'll show you a screenshot, you click on it, it will basically load the About This Result feature, but now it's actually going to show you a bunch of things in terms of why Google actually is ranking that snippet. It shows up to nine factors that Google told me, I believe, but I only know about 6 or so. One is, does the search terms on the page or in the HTML code match the query? Or do the search terms, second one is, do the search terms relate, or are there synonyms or stuff like that to the query as well? Do the links pointing to the page, I guess anchor text, match the query as well? Are there images that, I guess, file names and so forth that are matching the query? Are the language, like is it English, Spanish, etc., matching the query? The region, like if you search for, I don't know, the example they gave was get a shot or trash pickup, that type of stuff is usually locally relevant, so Google will more likely show you if you're in New York or in, I don't know, New York City, Google might show you the New York City related stuff around trash pickup as well as getting shots. Also, the cool thing is that when you mouse over those terms, and you can see in this screenshot, this GIF, basically Google shows you tips, specific tips around how to actually refine your query. So the example Google gave was about runners and joggers and so forth. If you want to remove the word runners, Google says use a minus sign before runners. And they're basically teaching searchers how to use this. I can't imagine searchers used it that much. I think they said like millions of people have used it. But what percentage of actual users actually use it? I'm sure SEOs are not going to dive into it, but it's not really telling you too much that an SEO wouldn't just pick up on by just looking at the page and the source code, as well as using a link tool. Any event, pretty cool. Definitely take a look at it. Hope you enjoy it. Google also said that, I think a week or so ago, John Mueller said that core updates could definitely impact the people also ask results on the page. So there's been a lot of discussion around my rankings have dropped recently after the core update, but they didn't really drop. People also ask is now above my result, and because of that, I'm getting less traffic. And that's definitely possible, according to John Mueller, where Google reevaluates how the search results should actually lay out. And because of that, Google may show people also ask higher in different locations based on that. So keep that in mind. It's not really a relevancy thing. It's more about, in terms of your website, it's more about a relevancy thing in terms of the search results. This gets pretty technical. So Gary basically tweeted out that we have a concrete answer about how long you should keep your redirects live, and Google, and he said a year. And then people were like, dug in, what does that mean a year? What is that? Why is that a concrete answer? And he basically said that if you have page A redirecting to page B, and that redirect has been live for a year, that year period, so everything before, let's say the redirect was live until today, everything from today past, that historical signals that are being passed from that redirect to new page B, destination page B, will forever be passed, even if you remove the redirect today. So it's over a year and you remove the redirect today. Now, what happens to the original page? Now the redirect's gone. Gary said that starting when you remove the redirect and Google picks up on that removal, Google's gonna start to pass new signals to page A, the original page, but the old signals that were passed historically are gonna stay with page B, the redirected URL. Hopefully that makes sense. If you don't understand it and you want to read it again, July 22nd, I think I explained it pretty clearly. Definitely take a look at that blog post. Google has dropped showing AMP labels, AMP icons in the mobile search results. This started I believe on July 20th or so, maybe July 19th. I wrote about it on July 21st. But now the AMP logos are removed from the mobile results. That includes the top stories carousel. On that news, Newzdash, a tool from John Chiata, basically shows that 23% of the stories in the Google top stories carousel on mobile are now showing non-AMP results. Earlier this month, I think 20 days ago, it was about 12%. So that is drastically increasing. You'll probably see that jump up to 50%, et cetera, as more and more publishers are comfortable removing their AMP URLs from their websites. As of this morning, I wrote this blog post, but it started a couple days ago. Google has dropped showing the reviews snippets from reviews, those stars that you see in the actual search results from the search results. I asked John Mueller and Danny Sullivan yesterday morning, what's going on? Is it a bug? Is it a feature? Are you getting rid of all? I mean, every single, you can't find a review star in the search results, the organic search results, as of today, as of yesterday even, and some people were actually noticing it going away 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, it must be a bug. Let's wait it out. I asked Danny and John and no response yet. I suspect it's a bug, but I wrote about it this morning, so it's documented, and hopefully Google will fix that soon. Google's Daniel Waisberg wrote a blog post, which is a pretty cute blog post, useful blog post, which basically sketched out visually, and here's the diagrams, how you might generally see a type of organic search issue with rankings. So it shows a technical issue and a manual action has a huge drop off. It shows on the technical issue on a page level versus a site level, as well as an algorithmic issue, meaning a core update or stuff like that. It's more of a gradual decline, and then it settles out over time. Seasonality changes are basically, sometimes people are searching for your keywords and sometimes they're not, like, I don't know, snow plows in the winter versus in the summer. And of course, a reporting glitch is basically when Google messes up something and they fix it. So definitely take a look at that if you want to show. It's a good thing to provide to clients when you do notice a traffic drop, and you can say, this is backed up by Google, and this is what your issue is likely. Of course, it doesn't solve every single issue, but it's generally a general answer for that. This was a post that Danny Sullivan wrote about trying to clarify. I think he wrote it on Friday. Trying to clarify, or last Friday, basically how Google News ranks web pages or news sites in Google News. So as you know, December 2019, Google stopped the manual submissions to Google News. And I talked about this numerous times. After that, publishers or new publishers trying to get into Google News and knowing if they're in Google News and knowing if their content's ranking has been horrendous. Complaints daily from publishers, new and old, saying, I don't know if my site's ranking. I can't find it, and there's no way to find it. There's no real flag. If you go to Google, you go to Search Console or the Google Publisher Center or whatever, you're not going to see a flag saying your site's in Google News or not. But basically, Danny Sullivan went ahead and did a post basically saying site commands don't work, so don't do them. It goes through a bunch of things, basically discussing where does news appear in Google? Is my site eligible to be in Google News? How do I know if my site's appearing? Is there anything I could do to improve my site? And any advice specifically around that. And it goes through a bunch of this type of stuff, basically saying that you could use the Google Search Console performance report, filter by news, or Google. If you have the Google News performance report specifically, then you know you're in Google News. That's probably one way to know if your content's ranking. But it's very, very. It didn't help, in my opinion. It didn't help. There should be a flag, yes, you're in Google News, or no. Then the other issues are around content. Is that piece of content in Google News? And of course, you can see if it's ranking by Google Search Console, but it's just concerning to see that, and hopefully Google will make it clear over the future. This is one of Google's attempts to try to do so. I'm not sure if it's succeeded. I don't think it did. Google Shopping has provided new promotions and deals information for Google Shopping. Specifically, you can now showcase your related, Google's showcasing your related deals. When you do a search, Google's going to have a little banner at the top where basically says deals related to your search, and then bring up either organic, free, and Google Merchant listings, as well as ad-based ones. Google also has new ways to customize your promotions. And in Google Merchant Center, there's new insights reporting around your deals as well. And also on the organic side, which some of that is organic, which is kind of confusing, Alan Kent from Google wrote a best practices blog post around best practices for deal and promotion pages, around creating dedicated pages for your promotion events, using how to use page titles, a bunch of stuff. You definitely want to take a look at that. I wrote about it on July 22nd if you do a lot of deal-based posts. So definitely take a look at that. I'm not going to summarize all those things, but it's pretty useful if you do deals. Google this week has launched SeekToAction Markup. This is something Google announced as coming soon at the Google I/O event around key moments, like the video snippets in the Google search results that have the timeline. Google calls them key moments. And with that, Google pre-announced these types of things where basically you could use something called SeekToAction, which gives Google a way to, using AI and different methods, to basically timestamp your videos so that they show up in key moments, which is pretty cool. Definitely take a look at that. For me, on these videos, I just timestamp them in YouTube, but probably I should also timestamp them on the blog itself. Although, if you are an SEO and you look at my blog, you'll see the mobile templates don't really have the video schema. Hopefully going to fix that with the new design that I'm coming out, where it's going to be responsive and not a different mobile template. Google did a post also, or posted a new developer document around search issues and limitations with the Google operators. So site commands and different file type commands and so forth. One of the big things in there was basically Google said, because search operators are bound by indexing and retrieval limits, the URL inspection tool in Search Console is more reliable for debugging purposes than any of these search operators. And then we showed examples of Gary saying an example where like the file type or image size types of things are limited by the index and so forth. So definitely try to don't debug necessarily everything using site commands or different search operators. If you want to look at that document, Google goes through the limitations of all the different operators that may apply to SEOs, and Google wants your feedback to make that document better. So definitely submit your feedback to Google. Google this week also launched a new performance report search appearance filter. This is specifically for math solver problems, so like the homework assignment stuff we discussed a while ago. So now if you are showing up in the search results for those types of schema, you could go ahead and go to the Google Search Performance Report and then click on Search Appearance, and you should see a math solver option for that filter, which lets you show you how well you're doing performance-wise in Google Search for math solver rich results. Google said if you have like no results produced on a specific web page. So let's say you have a search box or whatever it might be, specifically in Google Search, and your web pages result this, and your web pages show this no results response, and Google crawls that no results response, that's likely going to lead to a soft 404. And different JavaScript and so forth commands could actually lead to that. And we've been talking a lot about soft 404s, and that could be one of the reasons why you might see a soft 404 in Google Search Console. Google AdSense announced this week that they have a new, faster, better performing version of their Google AdSense code. You do not have to replace your old AdSense code, but if you do want to have better performing AdSense codes that maybe perform better for core and vital purposes in the Google Performance Update, definitely take a look at that. You could swap them out. You should not use two different versions of the same of different AdSense code on the same page. They said don't use the old and the new version on the same page, but you can use them on different pages as you wish. Google Ads is announcing a new 3 strikes and you're out policy, which is going to start in October on the ad side. So basically these 3, it's really 4 strikes. First you get a warning, and then you get your first strike, second strike, and then third strike. And then after you get your third strike, you're pretty much suspended, although these strikes do expire over time and so forth. So if you are in the Google ad space, this specifically applies to violations in Google Ads around enabling dishonest behavior, unapproved substances, and dangerous products and services. Google may expand this to all the other policies around Google Ads, but for now they're going to go launch this in October, or starting in September, but I think October. They're going to do this 3 strikes. If it works out well, they're going to move this over to other policies in the Google Ads environment. Google Maps has launched a bunch of new features this week, including the ability for searchers and restaurant viewers to actually go ahead and leave more detailed restaurant reviews. Here's a screenshot of the more detailed form, as well as a bunch of other things around crowdness, how crowded a specific transit or area is around COVID type of stuff. So Google launched that, which is great. Google Maps seems to be testing, showing the map pack, so the local pack on the left side and the map pack on the right side of the search results. Hope it's a bug. And Google has redesigned the Question Hub interface with a bunch of other features as well. It kind of looks like a darker version of it, which is pretty cool, and has a little more features around there that makes the Question Hub a little bit more useful. And sad news, again, I got to report sad news, is that Bob Gladstein has passed away at the young age of 57, almost right before his 58th birthday. He worked for Overdrive, I believe, in Boston. Really a great SEO who's been in the SEO space for probably longer than I have. Sad to see such horrible news. Hope his family's doing well. And I have more information on the Search Engine Roundtable about his contributions to the industry and how some, testimonials, some, messages from his friends and so forth. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and there's the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Again, today is Friday, July 23rd. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Apologize for this being a little bit longer. A lot to discuss. Speak to you guys later. Good weekend. Bye.